Once upon a time, in a tiny village in Europe, there was a frightening dragon that scared the villagers. This mean dragon used to make the people offer their young girls as sacrifices in a special ceremony, causing a lot of fear. Every time, the dragon would choose a girl and take her away. This went on for a long time until a brave knight arrived on the dragon's island to rescue his beloved. Unfortunately, she was already gone. The knight faced a tough battle with the dragon and emerged victorious. He became known as the Dragon Slayer, making the villagers feel safe again. The scary ritual transformed into a joyful wedding celebration. Years later, in a kingdom far away, there was a young princess named Mira, who was about to marry Igor, the grandson of the legendary Dragon Slayer. Despite Mira's love for fairy tales and toys, her dad and sister worried she was too young for marriage. Nevertheless, they prepared her for the wedding and led her to a boat that would take her to her future husband. As Mira sailed towards Igor, a storm suddenly erupted, surprising everyone. To their shock, the believed-to-be-gone dragon reappeared, causing chaos and fear among the people. In the chaos of the storm, the dragon seized Mira and carried her away, tossing her into a cave on a distant island. In time, Mira awakens to find herself at the bottom of the hole she fell into. She tries to climb out but startles a wolf-like creature, causing her to slip back down. The creature growls, making Mira grab a stone for defense. Suddenly, a male voice advises her to toss the stone away and lie down. Surprisingly, the creature doesn't harm her, eventually leaving her be. Curious about the voice's owner, Mira asks for help, but the person regrets being unable to assist, suggesting they might also be a captive. When Mira presses for details about the place and the dragon, the person warns it's unsafe to talk and remains tight-lipped. Desperate for aid, Mira pounds on the wall, pleading for help, yet her injuries cause her to falter. Seeing her struggle, the mysterious man offers a paste made from crushed leaves to soothe her wounds. Peering through the hole, Mira notices that the man doesn't seem like a typical prisoner. She introduces herself, but the man confesses he can't recall his own name, having never needed it. As Mira devises a plan to confront the wolf and escape when the dragon slumbers, the man insists that escaping the dragon is futile. Frustrated and determined, Mira lashes out, branding the man a coward before sealing the hole in anger. Resolute to find her own way out, she fashions a rope from her braided hair. While she works on her escape plan, the man tries to explain that he's not a coward but believes the dragon to be unbeatable. He apologizes, prompting Mira to remove the barrier from the hole. In a gesture of gratitude, Mira gives the man the name Armin, finding it as exotic and mysterious as his demeanor. She offers a handshake, but as their hands meet, the dragon suddenly snatches Armin away. With urgency, Armin warns Mira about the dragon and urges her to stay hidden. As the dragon looms terrifyingly close above Mira, she trembles in fear. When the dragon finally departs, Mira calls out for Armin, but there's only silence in response. Left to her own devices, she attempts to use her hair as a makeshift rope to climb out, but it proves futile. Frustrated, she resorts to banging a large rock against the wall. In a surprising twist, her efforts reveal a hole large enough for her escape. Stepping through, she navigates a pathway toward the exit, only to find the dragon hot on her heels. Panicked, she dashes ahead, darting into another hole as the dragon breathes fire at her heels. She manages to slip inside and reaches a high ledge above the ground. Just as she's about to proceed, Armin suddenly appears, attempting to halt her. In a surprising revelation, Mira discovers that the wolf obeys Armin's commands, revealing his true identity as the dragon. Despite Armin's attempts to explain, Mira's shock causes her to step back and accidentally fall off the ledge. As she plummets, Armin intervenes, catching her just before impact. His body radiates a fiery red, transforming into the dragon to save her life, but the effort leaves him injured. After the transformation, Armin reverts to his human form. However, seeing him as a threat, Mira considers using a rock against him. Overwhelmed by conflicting emotions, she's torn between fear and compassion. Unable to harm him, Mira chooses empathy, moving Armin to a safer space before collapsing beside him. In his sleep, Armin voices the danger of the dragon fire within him, emphasizing the need to rid himself of the perilous force. His body flickers with a red glow, on the brink of transforming into a dragon, before he collapses once more. Meanwhile, Mira heads to the shoreline, desperately calling for help, but her cries echo unanswered. Spotting an old boat washed ashore briefly raises her hopes of escape, yet a sudden storm brewing at sea dashes that possibility. Hurriedly, she returns to Armin, crafting an improvised shelter with a broken ship mast to shield them from the storm. As she tends to Armin's wounds, she hears his murmurs and realizes the extent of his injuries. Applying the leaf paste and using her sleeves to bandage him, she inadvertently triggers another reddish glow from his body. To calm him, she starts singing a lullaby, unexpectedly soothing Armin. As the night progresses, Mira eventually dozes off beside him. The next morning, Mira wakes up to find herself wrapped in a blanket, with a piece of fruit left by Armin. Grateful for the gesture, she eats the fruit before heading to the shore, where she discovers Armin fishing. Wondering why he won't simply take her home if he harbors no ill intent, Mira confronts him. Armin tries to explain that things aren't as straightforward as they appear. He shares his life story, recounting his deep aversion to becoming a dragon like his father. Witnessing his father's tragic demise ignited a fierce rage within him, leading to his own transformation. Despite this terrifying change, he made a solemn vow to live as a human. Armin chose to live in isolation on the island to prevent any harm to humans. Armin discloses how he managed his uncontrollable transformations by retreating to a narrow cave, containing the dragon within until he returned to his human form. He confides in Mira that everything had been under control until he heard the ritual song during her wedding. Armin believes that the dragon inside him awakens whenever she touches him, making it impossible for him to simply take her home. Moreover, he explains that the island is enchanted, only accessible to those loved by someone there. During their conversation, Armin stumbles and falls, cautioning Mira against helping him for fear of triggering the dragon's resurgence. However, Mira reassures him that the dragon hasn't surfaced yet and notices his human side growing stronger. She pledges to aid him in learning to live as a human while she awaits Igor's arrival. Mira takes it upon herself to transform Armin's hideout into a more comfortable living space, using salvaged items from shipwrecks and things washed ashore. Together, they decorate the once barren space, gradually turning it into a cozy sanctuary. With each passing day, they grow closer, finding joy in each other's company. Their efforts culminate in a beautiful and inviting haven. Amidst their time together, Mira surprises Armin with a flute that plays a comforting lullaby, while Armin, in return, delights her with a display of mesmerizing fireworks, leaving Mira spellbound. However, one night, Mira is jolted awake by an unfamiliar sound. As she searches for Armin, she encounters the dragon. Displaying immense bravery, she reaches out to touch it, but the dragon's reaction turns erratic, chasing her in frenzy. Abruptly, Mira wakes up, realizing it was just a terrifying dream. She finds Armin by her side, visibly concerned. Opening up about her fear of dragons, Mira confides in Armin, who assures her that the dragon within him will never harm her. The next day, Mira swims in a natural pool, and Armin holds some flowers, thinking of how to show he cares about her. But he gets nervous and can't find the right way to do it. Suddenly, something changes in him, and the flowers start burning. Armin notices and quickly goes to a cliff to calm down. Mira finds him and shares a kite she made. Armin asks why Igor hasn't come, but Mira doesn't know. It's clear she doesn't want Igor to visit because she's starting to like Armin more. Her feelings for Armin are growing stronger, making things complicated. Later that night, Armin comes across a boat on the shore and thinks Mira wants to leave the island. He confronts her and takes her to an altar, revealing the true reason why dragons bring maidens to the island. Armin shares a disturbing truth. Dragons consume young girls in fiery rituals, giving birth to new dragons from the ashes, similar to his own origin. He sadly predicts a similar fate for Mira. Feeling like a monstrous being, Armin believes he can't live peacefully with humans, confirming her fear of him. Armin confesses to observing her actions, thinking she's gathering items for a map, using fireworks as signals, and preparing the boat for an escape. He firmly tells her to leave the next day, but an angry Armin heartlessly discards her flute, crushing her spirit. At dawn, Mira sets sail on the boat, leaving the island behind. Meanwhile, Igor and his group set out on a determined quest to find her. Despite their efforts, they struggle to locate her. Feeling disheartened and lacking the bravery of his grandfather, Igor considers giving up. However, his helmsman reminds him of the solemn promise he made, urging him to honor his family's legacy. In the midst of their discussion, the night sky suddenly bursts into dazzling fireworks, and through the mist emerges Mira. They swiftly bring her aboard and inquire about the dragon. To shield Armin from harm, she crafts a tale, claiming that the dragon fell from a cliff and met its end. In the following scene, Mira finds herself once more being readied for her wedding to Igor, though her heart isn't in it. Meanwhile, Armin grapples with profound sorrow, unsure of how to move forward without Mira by his side. Despite his sadness, he treasures the happy moments they shared. He bids her a painful farewell and heads toward the cliff, clutching her flute tightly. With a heavy heart, he leaps off the edge, contemplating a drastic choice. As Armin descends through the air, the dragon within him stirs, its presence intensifying. Yet, he manages to soothe it by playing the flute. At the same time, Mira sits in a boat as Igor starts to row her across the water. But midway, she realizes that her heart truly belongs to Armin, and she can't imagine life without him. So, she stands up bravely and tells Igor that she doesn't love him. Igor is surprised and reminds her of how he saved her, but Mira insists her love is for the dragon. She begins to sing a special song, calling for her beloved dragon, while Igor desperately tries to stop her, warning of the consequences. Her father and sister watch with tears in their eyes. As she finishes singing, the dragon appears and takes Mira back to the island. He places her on the altar, but this time, she isn't afraid. She confesses her love for him, and her words calm Armin down. He rests on her lap, letting her comfort him. Years pass, and Armin and Mira are seen living happily together on the island, now with a little daughter. After putting their baby to sleep, Mira rides her dragon husband, and they soar into the sky together. And that's how the story ends. Thanks for watching, everyone.